Sugat, it is such an honor and a pleasure to co-host another culturally sensitive and culturally important conversation. How are things in Singapore today?
Singapore is nice. It's a 24 degrees Celsius. That's kind of winter for us.
Okay,
Yeah, and yeah, we are enjoying the weather. It's a Chinese New Year long weekend.
okay,
Monday and Tuesday is off. Yeah,
it's an auspicious time to have this conversation as different
definitely.
cultures celebrate different things. So
That's
today
right.
our conversation is about honoring our bounty with gratitude as we celebrate Thai Pongal. And what is Thai Pongal and what are we trying to celebrate? Why don't I let you go ahead and give your perspective on this, Sugat, as we get started?
Sure. Thanks, Kasuri, for inviting to this session. Thai Pongal is like one of my favorite festival, and it comes in the beginning of the year. And it's celebrated over a period of 4 days, and it's celebrated among generally people ask is it celebrated by the Hindus or Tamils, and the word Thai Pongal or the Thai Pongal is generally, in my view, celebrated by Tamil Hindus, and there are other Hindus celebrate uh, different festivals representing harvesting festivals, but Thai Pongal itself is celebrated by Tamil Hindus in India, Sri Lanka, and migrants from there who lives around the world. And here in Singapore or in India or in Sri Lanka, it's celebrated over a period of 4 days. We start with the day before Thai Pongal. We start with Bohi Pongal, and the Bohi Pongal is where we clean your house and you get rid of the things you don't want, and you burn them, and that's a traditionally we did. We go and burn them, getting ready for a new beginning from the next day. And you not only you clean your thing, you clean your heart, you clean your mind, you get ready for a new beginning. Where the month of Thai is very auspicious month for the Hindus and Tamils. We say Thai will give you a new beginning. So we will just clean up everything and get ready. People use the word spring cleaning, but we clean and get ready for the next day. So that's called Bohi Pongal, and the next day is the the real Pongal, which is the Thai Pongal, which is paying gratitude to sun god and the nature, and then we pay gratitude to sun for whatever or to the nature whatever we get, and we be thankful. And on a Thai Pongal day, we we get up early in the morning, we take a bath, we have a pot of milk, we boil the milk to overflow, that to show the joyness and the happiness. And then we cook the sweet rice, and the main part is how we pray to sun god. We take the pongal, we make additional sweet dishes, and we look around where which side the sun is, and that is one of the traditions we follow, because this we are paying gratitude to the sun god, and we keep there, and we pray to sun god for whatever we are getting from the nature. And that is the main learning we get. We use the festival to learn how to pay gratitude to something around you, not just something you are directly getting, but
Mhm.
something around you. And and that
Thank
day goes
you.
as a celebration. Yeah, that
Mhm.
goes as a learning for everyone to. So generally I say, okay, whatever we did before, whatever we did during Christmas, just forget. From Pongal day, let's learn how to pay gratitude. And Pongal festival is a good beginning, good start for that.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for that perspective, Sugat. And what I would like to add to that is Thai in Tamil is a month, but it's not the first month in the Tamil calendar. The Tamil calendar technically starts with the month Sittirai, and our calendar, we're more than 5,000 years old. And our calendar, if you compare it to the Western calendar, it starts around the 14th or 15th of April. So January harvest for us, Thai Pongal, is technically not the beginning of the year. It's towards the last quarter of our Tamil Dravidian calendar. And Thai Pongal has different names for the different communities that have come out of the Dravidian Society. So if you're a Malayali, if you speak Telugu, all the South Asian Dravidian population, they all have a version of this, but we all celebrate that. And the ultimate core of it is understanding that we are sustained by Mother Nature.
Yeah.
And the boiling of the milk and spilling over of the milk is prosperity and bounty. And we do that as an homage as the sun rises up to give thanks. And then we embrace with gratitude the day and the post-harvest life so that we are grateful for what nature has given us. And to me, it's an important reminder in today's world where people are not in touch with nature. People think making profits and getting rich is more important than sustaining our environment, without realizing if the environment is not sustainable, we cannot exist. And so the modern day Thai Pongal takes a whole different meaning, and the timeless teaching becomes very powerful. And then the Pongal is followed by Mata Pongal. We give thanks to the bull and all the animals who help us with the harvest, because every life form has its purpose and we need to honor it and celebrate it. When I think of Thai Pongal, it reminds me that every living creature, whether it's a plant, whatever it is in nature, or an animal, they all have a place. We all have a place. And if only when we are in harmony, there is prosperity. Only when we embrace life with a sense of gratitude can we take that bounty and prosper with it. So that you have children, you have a family, as you celebrate with the family, what are some of the lessons you're reminding the children, and how are those lessons then being shared with the community outside of the Dravidian community?
So Pongal is, we start preparing it. Somehow the children want to know why we celebrate. And nowadays they live in different cultures. They when they go to school, they mix with different people in Singapore. So every festival, the first question is why we are celebrating. And Thai Pongal is no different. They always want to know what is the reason behind Thai Pongal. And we spend time explaining to them why we celebrate Thai Pongal. And it starts from taking them for shopping the 1 or 2 days before to Little India, where we buy everything is required for Thai Pongal. So they get involved in the preparation, and they understand why we are buying a new mud pot, or we are buying different kind of leaves. What's the purpose of buying fresh fresh leaves? And they kind of understand the purpose of that. Then we teach them on the day of Pongal that why we are praying to Sun God, and that is kind of the only festival we see that we thank someone during praying. And that there's a lot of times we pray asking for something, and this is something we are praying, thanking. So this is a good learning for the children, that how do we thank for something we already have, and not for something we want, or we are not looking for something we want. And that's a learning the children are getting. And always the festivals like Thai Pongal help us to teach them those values. We got to be thankful and grateful for what we have. And then picking from what you said, sustainability. And we talk a lot in the corporate world about ESG. And if we are not thankful for what we have from the nature, and our ESG score cannot be higher. We can't be environmental, socially responsible, and have a better governance. If you think and if you are thankful for the nature and what we have, we will be careful about what we do. And that's if we go to the sea, and if you're taking a walk on the beach with a glass or a bottle of water, if you take a minute and thank to the nature, and if we get into a practice, we will never throw that plastic bottle into the sea again, because we already understand how thankful we are for what we see there. And and it's not something we learn in theory, we should practice that on a daily basis. And don't wait for a big event to be grateful. And
Yes.
don't be picky that if that particular big event happens, I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to be thankful. And Thai Pongal is a good example of where us and children understand the gratitude at all levels. We thank the sun god and the nature for what we have, what we get to eat. And then we also thank for what sun and the nature is giving to the farmers for to have a better crop. And that means we are grateful for something someone else is having. And that's the second level of being gratitude. What we get, we are grateful, fine. And the second is, can we be also thankful and grateful for something another person is getting? When you're walking on the street, something good happened to the person walking next to you. Can we just say that, hey, thank you, that person is safe, that person is God? And then next level is how we thankful to the nature and to the universe. So by celebrating Thai Pongal, we get to experience and the children get to experience this all different levels of being gratitude and not just only be grateful for what we have, and be picky. Okay, this is too small to be thankful, or this is, or he just was holding the door for me, or he just holding the elevator door for me. I mean, what's the big deal? I do this every day. No need to be grateful, but just be grateful for everything we have, and also during challenging time, be grateful. It's not grateful only when things are going the right way. We learn to be thankful and grateful even during challenging times.
Brilliantly said, Sugat. It's technically it's the challenges we need to be grateful for, because challenges polish us and make us better than who we are, right? So I subscribe to the school of thought, and this is something I teach people when I coach or train, is that gratitude is a practice that creates positive brain chemistry within us, and it offsets all the negativity in our body. So workout is helpful to change your entire being into a positive body chemistry. Gratitude is even more than that. And the effect of gratitude would be alcohol and drugs all combined without the side effects, right? So you have that happy mindset, your emotional intelligence at the point of feeling grateful is the highest. So we're able to engage in human relationships and work and decision making that much better. So this is not only the right thing to do from a morality ethics perspective, it is also the best thing we can do for ourselves so that we can show up in the best way to make an impact in our field and be successful. And the gratitude is the best trigger. There's nothing more valuable than gratitude for that positive outlook, positive mindset that enhances a person's emotional intelligence. So I'm so glad that you and your wife are taking the time to teach your children this, because they will go and take it to the class and they will share it with their friends, right? So we are propagating this mindset through a cultural celebration. And the other part of the Thanksgiving part of a Thai Pongal is that we share our food with all the non-culturally aligned folks, right? People who don't celebrate Thai Pongal, we share it with them. I made Pongal here in Belize. I had to get everything down, but I celebrated here. And all the neighbors came. Everybody wanted to know what it is. And everybody got white Pongal and chakra Pongal. So everybody got sweet and savory. And it was unique for them because they had never eaten it like that. And culturally, the Westerners don't share food with one another for celebrations. They're like, why are you feeding everybody? You're single-handedly feeding the whole neighborhood. Every 2-3 months, you have a celebration and you're feeding us. You're like on a happy pill. But it's another way to remind people we can share what we have. We're grateful for our friends. We are grateful for our neighbors. We're grateful for what's on our plate, and we're happy to share.
Yeah, and the fourth day of Pongal is we call it Kanum Pongal. That is, we go and visit people. We visit relatives, families, friends. We really, Kanum means we go and meet them. We go and meet them, and we are going and meeting them after celebrating of 3 days or 2 days of thanking the nature. And then we are in a mindset, we go and thank our families and friends who has been with us and for what they did. And that's the reason of having the Kanum Pongal as the fourth day of the Pongal, and coming back to sharing what we make. And it's the same here in Singapore. Every house around here is different cultures. And we have a practice every celebration, every festival. We go and whatever we make, we go and share with them. And the practice which we started, and what happens is that automatically give them a chance to come and share with us too. And it kind of became a practice we started by sharing because it come from our tradition. Like you said, yeah, when we make something, we are like, we can't eat this alone. It
Yeah.
just doesn't it doesn't look right. This looks good and this need to be shared. That's the first thing come to our mind. And it's the same thing when I cook something, I'm like waiting for the family to come and eat. And same thing that when we cook as a family, we want to go and share with the neighbors, the people who are working in this apartment complex, and we try to go and share them. And what happened is last evening, I think I was almost going to sleep, and I heard the bell ringing, and that morning, and I came, there was some sweets from the neighbors. That's for the Chinese New Year,
Absolutely.
and so that's also by sharing our cultural experiences around us. We also help them to share things when they make, and like you said, it's not a big culture of sharing food, and we call people, but it's just going and knocking the door and saying that, hey, I made something.
Yes.
That's something, a tradition we kind of followed, and we still try to follow. We try to expand that as much as possible, but I think this is also teaching to the children that what we do, and so they understand that they follow those traditions going forward.
Mhm. So as we look at how second, third generation folks who are living abroad are raising their children, over time, the language, the culture, the arts, the traditions, they all slowly, slowly disappear. And it's when the language, the arts, and the way of worshiping and singing and doing things that are traditional dies, the culture dies.
Yeah.
So how can we make sure generation after generation, because so much of this information, so much of the celebration, so much of the participation in the celebration is in Tamil. How do we make sure that we transfer the knowledge of the language and the culture that comes with the language to our children? Because when the language dies, little by little, the culture dies.
Yeah, I mean, in that way, we are lucky. We are here in Singapore, and like you mentioned earlier, it's Tamil is one of the official language. So my children learn Tamil as a language. They have to. It's not an optional. They learn as a language. But I think to keep the tradition of, I mean, it's not necessary just because they are learning, they will follow every tradition. That's a good opportunity to learn because it's a big celebration. Every festival is a big celebration and reminders there are 25, 30 temples around you.
Mhm.
But I think one is to we need to let them to adapt how they want to celebrate, and within those core values of how we celebrate, and we kind of encourage them to take a lead and let them celebrate, and we let them to adapt if they have to. If we kind of put a stop and say, "Oh, no, this is how we used to do," and we discourage them, always give a comment, "Oh, this is not the way we do." We try to change them, but give them an opportunity to adapt. And yeah, you are right. If they don't follow the language, they will just, it's hard for them to follow the culture. And but again, we create an opportunity. Okay, you are not going to get the chance to speak in Tamil all the time. That's a reality. And but still, can you follow the language? Can you follow the culture in a different language? It's not necessary in English. There are a lot of people in Germany. They speak, even though they originated from our part of the world, they only speak German, and because that's the only language they learn. And I think that allowing them to adapt and what they can do, And that's the only way we can keep the culture within us and without putting boundaries for them. If they want to have Pongal less sweet, let them do it. Or if you want to say that I want to make this sweet with artificial sweetness, which is healthy, let them do it. Or they say, okay, or they feel shy to do something, we just help them to overcome them. And we say that we tell our children that if you are in a setting, you can always call us. You always call us. Then we told you to that. Okay, you had to dress up and go like this, and you had to wear a puttu because it's traditional. Sometimes you go to the place, you feel uncomfortable, even though, and then you can always call us and say, "Hey, Papa, I feel uncomfortable. Come and pick me." Give them the exposure, but also protect them. Also let them, if they have to create their own version, and follow that, not to drop the tradition, but to follow them. But you are right, the language is a big part of that. But it's just getting hard where Tamil language is not a business language, unlike Chinese or even Hindi is still used as a business language. Tamil is not a business language. It's just only used as to explain the cultures in the Western world. The only time it's used is to explain cultures. And that's what we celebrate all the festivals here at home, and we explain. But then explanation is unfortunately most of the time in English,
Yes.
and the communication is in English, and but that they understand how to celebrate, and hopefully they will take that to the future generations, and continue to follow our cultures and traditions.
Mhm. Very well said from a dad's perspective. I'm curious, Anu, from a mom's perspective, what are your feelings? What are your thoughts?
Hi. Okay, so I sort of feel the same way like what my husband Sugat was saying. And I think on another note, I think it's like on a smaller scale in the home as parents, the maximum that we can do is to religiously do the traditions for as long as we can and get the children involved and answer their questions as transparently as possible. Because like what Sugat was saying, our kids literally ask us like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Like, I need to know the meaning of it. Like, then it makes sense for me. Like I can't just follow blindly. And I think the time when I grew up was different. Like we didn't have social media, and we were a different generation. That we just did what our parents told us, and we didn't question much, and it was just like, this is just something we do in our family. This is just part of our culture, part of our tradition. And we didn't know the deep-rooted meaning of many of the stuff that we were doing unconsciously. So I think it's also been like a wake-up call for us to explore further. And like I told the kids honestly, like some of the stuff, like I really don't know. Like, let's figure it out together. Let's find out. That's a good question. So I guess that
Interesting.
so that I guess, because I'm transparent with them. So I guess that also gives them the assurance, like, you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to know everything about your culture. And like I guess some of them have this mindset that I need to know everything, if not I'm not going to do it right, I'm going to mess up, and my parents are going to be upset, or maybe the elder folks in the family are going to feel offended, like I'm not doing it right. But me being transparent and telling them, look, even I don't know everything. Like, I mean, it's impossible to know everything. And I think our culture is so deep rooted, and there's so much of tradition, so many, that it's a change, right? I mean, we keep learning and we keep growing, and that's a process. There's no time frame that you need to figure out everything. Like, we're still figuring out stuff at our age, right? So I don't expect the kids to know everything. So that's what I keep telling them. So I guess that also gives them the reassurance that, okay, we can do this, and we will follow. And, if something is not right, it's okay. We can figure it out, And so on the home front, I think that's what we are trying to advocate and do. And as for the language, like, we are blessed that Singapore does have Tamil as one of the languages, official languages in school. It's taught to them. But I think on a bigger scale, again, in Singapore, the government, the schools, they put in all the effort to make sure that the next generation doesn't lose this. They don't lose the touch with our language and the cultures. And there's a lot of emphasis of all the festivities. And I think, like, on a bigger scale, for the Tamil community that lives abroad, like when we used to live in US, the sub communities, like we were part of the Sri Lankan community, and they made an effort for all the Tamil functions, like Pongal, for the Tamil New Year, for Deepavali, to gather together to celebrate, so that the kids growing up in a Western culture, they still get the exposure, they still understand what's happening. And I guess that is the way they are trying to preserve it, right? So I think if more communities abroad adopt this, and at some point, if the schools even adopt it and say that we're going to have Tamil, as part of the curriculum, because I heard from someone that one of the schools in Perth has actually started. They actually told one of the Sri Lankan teachers, she's a Singaporean, that why don't you, because they want the kids to learn a third language, and they said, should we make Tamil as an option, since you are from Tamil origin, Sri Lankan origin, and you speak the language? And she said, hey, why not? So she actually kind of shared that. So she has started Tamil lessons, and it's all Australian kids and some Tamil kids, and from multiracial backgrounds. So I was pretty pleasantly surprised that, wow, like, Perth is, this particular school is taking the initiative. So that's why I'm saying I'm hopeful that more schools abroad, more countries adopt this, and they also try to incorporate Tamil in the education system.
And that makes sense. Thank you for sharing that. That is
Yeah.
very, very refreshing to see and hear, right? In the UK, you can sit for the O-level exam with Tamil as a second language, just like you could take German or French. And I personally had the privilege of studying in Tamil growing up. And one of the subjects we had to do for our 10th grade is religious studies. And we actually read all the scriptures in Tamil. And it was something that was part of how we were raised at home, at school. I went to a Catholic convent school, but still we learned Hinduism and we learned about all the festivals. And being able to read in Tamil and to be able to go to the library and borrow all the books and read the history, read all the philosophy and all the literature, that was powerful. Fast forward, I'm in the United States and I'm watching so many of the cultures that don't have their language, don't have their religion. They've lost their identity. And eventually they get very angry as a people that they've been robbed of their identity. And that leads to so many other social issues. And things we're facing in the United States today is a direct result of that loss of identity. And when you don't have your own language to go and refer, and we have a language that is more than 5,000 years old, we're only reading what is written in English and the Western propaganda. So everything we read, we have to believe because we don't have another context. When I went to India for my undergraduate degree, we had to do research in at least 2 languages or you couldn't be in the university. Because researching in one language only gives you that culture's propaganda and what they want the world to believe. Because winners write histories. And English is a colonial language, and everything written in English has its own purpose. And when we lose our language, we lose our purpose, we lose our identity. And then that leads to so much of the sociological, psychological issues the society has to deal with. So to me, from where I sit and the things I deal with when I work with economic development, this is a huge issue. So I always like to hear what parents are thinking. I don't have children of my own. I always like to see what parents are thinking and how parents are navigating this. Because the results of this and ramifications of this are going to be felt 3-4 generations down the road. It's not today. So when we are thinking of sustainability, nature, bounty, our culture is part of our bounty. Our language and our heritage is part of our bounty. How do we stay grateful for that? How do we celebrate that? How do we pray in it? Simple thing like love. There is a singular word for love in English. And a lot of times it's interpreted as the sexual connotation of a love between a man and a woman. There is no word for love for humanity. There is no word for the love between two friends, right? And so there's so much lost when you go to a language that is limited in vocabulary. Every other Western language has multiple words for love, right? So my husband is American. One of the things I do when I talk to him is I speak the Tamil word and I conjugate in English and I teach him what the word is, because I want him to know precisely what I mean, not in the ballpark of what I mean. Hey, Nandini, thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Hey, so I know you celebrate Pongal a little differently. You have a Malayali background. How does that work out in your tradition?
I actually am woefully ignorant of it's called the Magaravelaka. And it's when, you know, it's lighting of certain big lamps in the temples and stuff like that. And because it's a sign, like you said, for spring festival, but growing up, it wasn't a big deal in my house. So I'm one of those, you know, people that have lost a little bit of my identity because I was growing up in Malaysia and, you know, and didn't really get the full benefit of that. Sorry, I didn't realize the radio was on here. Yeah, and so that's my take on the whole Pongal thing, because I just watched my Tamil friends celebrate it and thought it was a Tamil holiday, you know, a Tamil festival, and didn't realize until I was much older that there was, you know, a symbolic ritual for us as well. Yeah. And I liked your take on, I just wanted to comment, your take on languages, you know, and how certain languages have only 1 or 2 words for the same thing. And it's funny because I'm reading a book now on communication, and that's exactly what they talk about, that a lot of times our emotions, you know, where the reason we come into conflict is because we speak in English primarily, and the English language is a 2-dimensional language, and we're trying to express a 3-dimensional world.
And you're reading this book in English, right? So it's written in English, let
Correct.
people know it's a 2-dimensional language.
Yes, yeah, it's called Nonviolent Communication. It's by Marshall Rosenberg. Yeah, and that's one of the things he mentions. And I just thought that was, I never thought of it that way until I saw that on paper, and I realized, oh yeah, it is a lot of languages. Like, I'm not fluent in Malayalam, so I don't know, but I think it's a little more 3-dimensional than English.
Yes.
You know, a lot more probably. But yeah, so I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Nandini. Yes, Malayalam comes from Tamil, and it's all part of the Dravidian language structure.
Correct. Tamil and Sanskrit, a lot of Sanskrit as well. Yeah.
Yes, Sugat, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. And picking on the languages. So we said it different languages, and you said that this is sum up when it's written in English. Yeah, then what we try to understand in the perspective of the person who wrote in that particular language. And always there's a saying that unless the lions start writing a book, always the hunter will be the hero, right?
Yes.
So it's just what we learn from different languages. And in Japanese, we all thought that the word arigato is just to say thank you. And that's what we thought for a long time. I was thinking until I saw that when you divide those two words to arigachi and katai, it's two different words long time back got into arigato. And the deep meaning is to be difficult. That means you are when you say arigato and thank and saying that thank you for things which is difficult. Things are difficult, but let us be thankful. That's a real meaning. And it just if you go and Google now, it said a direct translation is thank you. But every time when in Japanese community when say arigato, it's that oh things are going to be difficult, and it's just but still let's be grateful. And that's going back to say that don't be picky, don't we decide when we want to be thankful, when we want to be gratitude. And you are right, in different languages we say thank you or love in different ways. But then in Tamil we have 100 words. It's the same brother or sister, we have different different terms. And I think in this starting from this Thai Pongal, we should start learning how to be thankful, and how to be thankful to the world we are living in, and for everything we have already. And uh, more than we are asking for something, and be thankful and grateful to the nature, and be thankful for every little thing you have. And the festivals and Thai Pongal, like festivals, are the good time to reset whatever happens before. And always we had to think about move forward. So when we move forward to the next few months and few years, let's take as a reset and say that start today from this Pongal day or the Pongal celebration or the event we are doing now. Let us be grateful and thankful for every little thing we see, and on every little thing which other person is getting around you. And if you see, like I said, on the street, somebody's helping someone, just thank God for that. And if somebody's holding the door for you, be thankful. And I think it's a good time to start practicing being grateful, being thankful for what we already have, and what is around you. And Pongal is a
Absolutely.
good start for that.
And that is a nice way to sum this conversation up, Sugat. Thank you so very much for sharing your insights. And as we go to a close, I just want us to all remember, don't just be thankful for what we got, be thankful for the things we didn't get to, because those are equally important. If we had gotten something, our lives would have gone in a different path, and we wouldn't be where we are today. And sometimes the universe knows what's not for us, and it refrains from making sure we actually receive it. So be mindful, be grateful, and accept the fact that life and the universe evolves as it should. All we can do is do our best and go with the flow and be grateful, because if we're not grateful for all the rubs we've gotten in life, we will never get polished. Imagine the diamond, it is just a hunk of coal. Only difference is it is coal under pressure, rubbed to perfection. So if you feel like life is like a pressure cooker, you're in an unhappy place, you don't know what to be grateful for, be grateful for that pressure. The minute you become grateful for the pressure, your mind gets freed, your emotional intelligence are unleashed, and you find ways to overcome that, and that pressure has already polished you. So as you embrace 2023 as your new year, and as the Tamil, Hindu, and the Dravidian community embraces Thai Pongal and starts anew, let's all hope that we each continue to get polished to our individual brilliance. And in the process, our collective brilliance is going to light up the world so that we can find our way out of the challenges we are going to get ourselves into.